Welcome back to my channel. They say that like there's loads of people watching, so that's awkward. But I just thought I'd do more of a personal update on the tanks, the room tour 2.0 if you like, just because it's had quite a good reception and I get quite a lot of people asking me questions about the tanks and some of the stuff I've used, so I just thought I'd do a talky video just to run through some of the stuff that I might have missed in the previous kind of cinematic-y video that I did. And obviously if anyone's got any questions that they want to ask that I've missed out, put it in the comments and I will do my best to answer it. So yeah, there's been actually a few changes since the last video that I did. Let's just get on with it. Okay, let's go. Excused shaky hand recording. I don't know what it is, I don't shake in life, but when I'm holding a camera, things go like this. Don't know why. So let's start with the shelf overall. I'll give you a better view of the room. Oops. There it is. So the shelf is a, what is it? It's a 90 centimetre shelf. I think it's like 90 by 35. So it mainly holds cube aquariums that are 30, the middle two are 30 by 30 Opti-White all pond solutions tanks, and they're about £40. So the middle two are those. And then the bottom two, they're 30 by 30 by 35, and they are the Aqua Eel, however you say it, shrimp tanks, and they are really good value for money actually, because they come with a heater, light and a filter, but I haven't used the filter just because I find it too powerful for my better fish. So I changed them to Oase Biocompact 50s because you can you can reduce the flow on them. So I just find them a little bit better, better for my betters. This is Zeus. And he's normally quite shy, he never really comes out. He's got a little man cave that he likes to hide in. But his tank is mainly ferns. All the background plants are actually ferns with the exception of the stems in the back, which is just Limnophila sessiflora, if I've said that right. And that's just because whenever I set up a new tank, certainly anything that's kind of low energy, that is a really good plant for sucking up excess nutrients, and I find it really helps in combating algae. So this tank looks really bare at the back, and that's because that did used to have Limnophila in it, and I do like it, but I do get bored of it because I use it in every tank as like a weapon. Look how handsome. He plays up for the camera. Like, he spends most of his day, because he's an old man now, just like being depressed, like sitting up there. He's not depressed, I don't give you a bad life, do I? But whenever the camera's out, he does put on a bit of a show. He's Pepsi. If anyone's seen the video that I did with George Farmer, you'll understand why it's such an amazing story that he's called Pepsi. But anyway, back to the thing, my point. The back is bare because I ripped out all the Limnophila and some of the stems that I'd tried to grow, which failed miserably because this bit of wood, this is just an error on my part. It was one of the earlier tanks that I did, and I put it too close to the glass. In fact, it's touching the glass. Don't do that because it makes trying to clean a nightmare. Although to be fair, this doesn't really get that dirty. But anyway, stems were struggling to grow, so I have put a lot of crypts in there because they tend to do better under low light. So we're just gonna see if they grow, but with it being low energy, it's taken a long time, which is why it looks bare. Unlike this little staragine repens, however you say it, S repens, which is growing like a beast. It's growing like crazy. So yeah, that's those. That's just a thing I made. That's also a thing I made. This is also a thing I made. It's the world's smallest aquarium. It isn't, I just made that up, but it is really small. Let me just turn. There, it's actually, I haven't got gigantic hands, it's tiny. And that is just excess plant trimmings that I didn't want to throw away, and I had a bowl. So I made it. So yeah. Don't smash the glass. And that's just a little terrarium. So moving on to this tank. This tank's got Raiden in it, who is a Chen's better, I believe. Although he's been a bit quiet the past few days, so I am just keeping an eye on him. He's not been his usual self, so I am hoping that everything's okay, but I have just had to put some shrimps in here, so he might just be on a shrimp hunt, because I don't actually know if he's good with shrimp or not. It's a bit of a test. I'm hoping he is, because I've put some blue velvets in there for now, and they are my favourite shrimp, so I really hope he hasn't eaten one. I thought I could see one, but I can't. So anyway, back to what I was talking about, which is what I've forgotten. This is the All Pond Solutions Opti-White tank. These are awesome tanks. I mean, so are the Aqua L ones, but I love these because they're thick, they feel sturdy, and obviously with them being Opti-White, you don't get that yellowy green tinge that you get from like normal float glass, I think it's called. So in here, this is a relatively new tank, so it's got a few diatoms still, but overall it's doing quite well, again because I put some Limphophila in the background, so that's just helping. But plants, my usual ferns, Anubias, Boost. These stones, which I absolutely love, not this one, I got that from a beach, but it fit in perfectly with these, which are called Ice Age stones, and this gravel, which I'm now obsessed with. Not the big stuff, the little stuff, is a Hugo Kamishi fine gravel, and it just is so nice. It's really good to blend with, as with these little ones. This one, this is the Denala Ryuzingu, and these are just driveway stones, which I keep stealing off the driveway. So yeah, that's that tank. This tank, which I don't think ever comes off well on camera, and I'm not sure why. You just have to take my word for it that it looks a bit nicer in real life than what it does on the camera. I don't know if it's because it's very fussy, because there is a lot of fine details to this. It's my most detailed. That's Regina, hi. It was probably my most complex scape. It was a lot of gluing wood together. And this is Millennium Stone, which has got a kind of a green algae tinge to it, but I like it, so I'm purposely not scrubbing it off, just because it adds an aged look to it. But things are still growing. Again, with this being low energy, it's taken a while for things to grow, so we've got some Rotala HRI in the background, which is looking a bit leggy. It's a little bit thin, but I wanted that pop of red. And I've recently put hornwort in there, which wouldn't normally be my first choice of plant because it's a weed. Well, I think most plants are weed, but I tried to grow Pogostemon erectus and it failed miserably. And that was the closest thing that I could find that I knew would grow that had a similar texture. So that's why that's in there. And also it's a really nice vibrant green, which brightens it up a little bit because the wood's quite dark, the rocks are dark, the boost down there is really dark, so it needs a pop of something, which is why I kind of like this Hydrocoral Japan, because it adds that pop. As for the Ludwigia, which has only recently just gone in, so I'm hoping that will get a little bit redder. Also, I never mentioned the lights on these. The lights, I'm not going to point the camera, oh, maybe. It's just two All Pond Solutions PLED lights. There's a 510 and a 310 that are lighting that shelf, which is why it looks really overly exposed, because they are very bright, which is why I put them so high up, because otherwise I'm going the wrong way. Otherwise I find that I get algae. Whereas these two, the lights on these are the Aquarium Smart LED Unreal lights. I think you can buy them standalone, and for a low energy tank, a low tech tank, I really recommend them. I mean, they've grown this, as have I, and the water and tropical ferts and stuff like that, but yeah, good lights, I recommend them. So moving up, just kidding, to this one. This is a really dark and moody tank, which in my opinion looks better on a night when the room's dark, because it's lit by a desk lamp, and the light in it is a 5000 Kelvin white light, but it's not particularly bright. However, it does grow the majority of the things in here, which are just offcuts from other tanks. Oh, that's really dark, hang on. That's probably more like how I see it. And this is a 40 centimetre long. It's a Cyano Tartarium 40, I think it's called. It's sold as a tortoise tank, but please never put a tortoise in it, because it's far too small for a tortoise. And this is home to some killifish. Now, I would just say, I would not recommend putting killifish in a shallow tank. They jump, they will jump, and one of mine has jumped. The only reason that they are in this tank is because the original setup that I put them in, I had a colony of blue shrimp, and they were picking them off and eating them, and I was really wanting to, you know, breed these shrimp, so I took them out, and this is all I had. And then when I put these in here, they started breeding, and they have thrived massively in here. It is too small for a breeding pair, but not all the babies make it, whether or not that's them picking them off or just survival of the fittest and things like that. But obviously if they do breed more, and there are more than 3 fish in the tank, because there's 2 females and a male, none of which are the original killifish that I had. These are offspring that are now breeding incest. So I've just kind of left it, whether or not people agree or disagree with that, with it being quite small and also shallow. But the water level is never normally this high, it's just this high because I've just done a video with George Farmer for the Tropical Live stuff. So obviously I've just done some maintenance on the tanks and I've topped them up, but normally the water level would be lower, and there's a lot of floating plants in here which are all kind of designed to, well, not designed, but I put them in to prevent jumping. That water. And then on the top shelf we've got some plants just to hide plugs and things, because obviously this all runs off extension leads. So yeah, that's the shelf. Then this is a giant Swiss cheese plant which just won't stop growing. Didn't realise how big they grew when I got it. Sorry, I'm like rubbish with changing exposure, so bear with me. Because I'm pointing at this, let's just go to this tank, the big tank. So this runs a Oase Thermo Biomaster 600 and CO2 terrarium. So this is the big tank, as I call it. It's not big really. It's again, this is an All Pond Solutions Opti White tank. It's 60 by 40 by 40 or 45, whatever it is. It's about 96 litres. This is due a rescape. I've had this running for about 2 years now, but every time I go to do it I get sad and then I don't want to do it because every time I think I'm going to do it, it starts looking nice if I do say so myself. Excuse the reflections, in fact. Smash the tank ridge. So yeah, I'm torn. I have actually got the stuff to do the rescape, so it is going to happen. When? I don't know. So in here we've got, focus, algae. I was going to say shrimp, but we have got some algae. Lots of shrimps. They keep breeding in there. They're pretty much just mostly wild types because I've mixed them. Because I couldn't decide on a colour, so I said all. And then now they're all wild type. Which I don't mind because they're still awesome. They clean, they do the job, and they detract less on the scape, I think. Sometimes when I first started this tank, I just had a red colony, and within a few months they'd bred, and I stopped counting after I got to about 150. There was just shrimps crawling all over the front, and it was amazing, but at the same time it's all you looked at. So sometimes wild types aren't bad because you kind of don't get distracted. Basically this tank is a fern explosion. Ferns and a few stems of rotala at the back, which are looking a little bit bare here because I ripped a load out of like stems that weren't growing very well, and I've replanted them. Hopefully they'll grow a bit better because I'm obviously going to use all this for the new scape. Light is a Twin Star B series. They're about £115, obviously in the UK, and it's an awesome little light. I really like it. I recommend it. Glassware is the Insta, I think it's by, and I haven't smashed it yet, which is good. And then we've got a little shrimp guard because the Biomaster that sucks hard. God, that didn't sound right. The Biomaster has suction power. Is that any better? The Biomaster has suction power, and shrimp were getting sucked up, which wasn't good, so we've put a guard on there. So that's that. Now I'm going to go back and show you the new tank, which I stuff in the way. We're just going with the fact that this is a vlog This is a vlog type video, so it's allowed to look ropey. Yeah, so if anyone watches, they will have seen me create this out of bits from the old Fluval Flex. So this is going to be, it is a shrimp tank, but there's no shrimp in it. I'll be honest, because there's no point in lying and making people think that everything goes swimmingly the whole time. I've set this up as a shrimp tank, and I used obviously all the media, filter media, soil, plants, wood, pretty much everything came from the other tank, so it should have and was cycled, and I did tests every day and it was fine. And because it was a shrimp tank and I wanted them to breed, I bought something called Back to AE, which I'd never used before, this stuff. Obviously didn't research enough about it. I did follow the instructions, but it didn't work. And I think what's happened is I've overdosed the tank with it. And apparently if you overdose Back to AE, it depletes your oxygen, and in turn it messes up with your cycle and you get a nitrate spike, which is what I had. And I noticed it because the shrimp were all at the top of the tank. That's generally a really good warning sign, indicator that things aren't right in the tank. So I got them out as fast as I could, as many as I could. I have seen a few in here that have died, unfortunately, and I feel really bad and I feel really sad. I'm really guilty, but it's a lesson learned a hard way. So the shrimps are in with one of the betas, Raiden, which I mentioned earlier, so I'm really hoping that he isn't eating them. I did see a few the other day, but he's also hiding a lot, which just makes me think that he's probably just found where they're chilling and eating them, but we'll see. So I'm doing big water changes on this tank, reducing food because it's still going to be in there, and it's good food. It you know, it creates a biofilm, but even, you know, some nanofish will eat that as well, and currently there is a few chiliorasporas, and there's 2 Microdavario kabutai, and what are they called? How pretentious is that I know the taxonomic name and not the actual name. Green rasparas, green neon rasparas, chilling in there. So this is getting some attention at the minute, just to make sure that the fish are okay. I don't really want to move them again. I don't want to stress them out anymore. They are less sensitive. Don't get me wrong, no fish are going to be good with like nitrates and stuff and ammonia, but they're probably a little bit harder to it than shrimp. At the minute it's reading like low enough, it's fine for the fish, but if it does just spike a little bit, it's you know, it's going to be pretty much, you know, death for the shrimp. So that is what it is. So if anyone does decide to use back to AE, take heed. It's probably more problematic because this is a really small tank, and trying to dose that, they give you a spoon in there which is absolutely tiny, and I mean tiny, but that does 120 litres. Well, this probably isn't even 20 litres by the time you take out the stuff that's like displacing the water, like the hardscape. So to get a measurement on that is hard. It's, yeah, I'd just do it with caution, and I wouldn't do it twice a day like what they recommend. I would say at least every other day. Sorry, no, like every other day, not at least. Maybe not even that. So yeah, that's sad. It's sad, but the tank is actually looking alright on the plus side, if I'm allowed to be happy about that bit. Even though I've like killed shrimp. I'm a horrible person. But yeah, it's growing in, it's growing nice. We've got some horn wort in here because the shrimp like chilling on that. Oh, they did, till I killed them. They're not all dead. Like 3 died, 4 died, maybe 5. Look, I killed some shrimp, I'm sorry. I do feel really bad. I'm an animal person, I hate killing things. I hate anything dying in my care. You know, I'm gonna cry when my fish die, I'm that type of person. I'm doing what I can. So yeah, that is the little long, should I say, 20 odd minutes of me chatting. Also, this is, if you're wondering why that's just randomly stuck in there, it's a devil's ivy. It's what's growing out of the killie tank. Absolutely amazing for sucking up excess nutrients. Yeah, I think that just about covers everything until the next time.